welcome to 50 Years of Coptic History in Australia. Today we are continuing our discussion with Mr. Farag Ghobran. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Susie.
So continuing on from where we left off, we were talking about the board of deacons that were elected and you were anointed to become part of that board.
Yeah.
There is a famous photo that we have and there you go.
Yes.
Can you explain this photo for us?
This is after the election, we gathered with His Grace, the late Bishop Samuel, and the very Reverend, the late Father Mina Namatallah, to take a historical photo of the first elected board of deacons to administer the church administrative services. And unfortunately, they all departed, except one of them.
Which would be yourself.
I think so, if I'm still existing.
No, God keep you.
Right. And can we tell the names? Yeah. And from right to left, the late Mr., they're all late anyhow, the late Mr. Sami Galdas, Dr. Samir Tadros, Mr. Mukhlis Sidhum, His Grace Bishop Samuel and the Very Reverend Father Mina Namatallah, Mr. Albert Hanna, Mr. Amin Salib, Dr. Farid Farag. Then sitting were Mr. Mamdouh Atallah, Mr. Hanin Sirri, Mr. Wadi Ghobran, and myself. Yeah.
In the bottom left there.
In the bottom left, yeah.
What a fabulous and historic photo to cherish.
This is just His Grace Bishop Samuel endorsed it with his signature. الأنبا صمويل أسقف الخدمات العامة والاجتماعية Sydney 27th of June 1972. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you
for that memory.
Yeah.
So moving on then, you were on this board of deacons. What was their responsibility for the church?
The responsibility was administering the church administration part. We don't interfere in the spiritual part, but only the administration part. At that time, we were looking because two of the congregation donated some land in St. Mary for another church.
So is this in Bexley then?
No.
Okay, where is
St.
this?
Mary's.
Oh, in the suburbs, St. Mary's.
Yes, in the suburbs of St. Mary's.
Right.
They have there are two properties adjacent to each other, and someone, can I say the names of them?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. One of them is Faiz Ghobran, and the other one, Mr. Bahgat Ghobran. They had two properties adjacent to each other, 5 acres each. So they had quarter of an acre from each part adjacent to each other, so it makes half an acre to build another church. But unfortunately, this was like a green belt at that time, and the council didn't approve of the idea of getting the thing to the church. But this made the idea of a second church in mind at that time. And at that time, some of us met together and discussed another church.
So this is early 1970s.
No, that's 1974.
Yeah.
1974.
Yeah.
And at that time, we rented a church in Doonside from the Church of England. And we wrote to His Holiness Pope Shenouda III saying that we want another priest to come to Australia. And in that area, His Grace Bishop Samuel came to Australia again, 1973, with 2 priests, one for Sydney and one for Melbourne. The Sydney priest was the late Father Johanna Sabit. And then the one for Melbourne is Father Mina Mikhail, who is serving in Melbourne up till now. Yeah. God bless his soul. The Father Yohanna Sabit started serving here in 1974. Yes, yes, yeah.
And then moving on from that, the idea of the second church began to flourish and Sydenham was established. Where then did the second church get built?
After that, we bought a third church, which is St. George Church in Kensington.
So we have Sydenham, which is
Sydenham,
St. Mary.
yes,
The
St.
second
Mary.
one?
Second one, we bought the Guildford Church. The Guildford Church, yeah.
That's St. Anthony's.
Yes, St. Anthony, yeah. It was called St. Mark at that time, not St. Anthony. Yeah. It changed later. And then the church in Kensington, we bought the church, and it was called St. George Church as well. Yeah. So that's the third church, which, yeah.
And how soon were all these churches built?
St. George was 75, and St. Mark or St. Anthony, now the St. Anthony Church, 74. And because the churches in the one we rented in Doonside, both the two priests, the late Father Mina and the late Father Johanna, they have to alternate services every alternate Sunday. Father Mina will go to Doonside and Father Johanna will come to this Sydenham, and vice versa the next Sunday. So to have to alternate the services in both churches, yes. St. George Church, we got a priest who was retired here, and the late Father Isaac, Abuna Ishaq. He was retired here, and because he came to live with his children here. So we called him to serve in that church till we get another priest after that, yes.
So by 1975, there were 3 churches.
3 churches, that's right, yes.
And then was there a gap?
There was a gap till Father Musa Solomon came, and he served first in St. George first, then St. Mary's, then he started looking for a cathedral, a big church. And then we bought St. Mark Church now in Arcliffe, yeah. That's the 4th church to be established, yes, yeah.
And then after St. Mark's, we still have the original Sydenham Church. How long was it? There was a move that happened between Sydenham and Bexley. When did that then happen?
I can't decide the date exactly. Probably after 78, 79, could be, yeah. After 79, yeah. No. In the 80s, probably. In the 80s, sorry. I can't really remember the
That's
date.
okay. Yeah, that's all right. But there was the move then from Sydenham to Bexley.
To Bexley, yes.
But
yes.
I do believe before that there was Archangel Michael and St. Bishoy that was also established.
Yes, it was before that. Then I think some of the congregation bought land in Mount Root, and I think Dr. Farid Farag, Dr. Another one, doctor as well, and Faiz, and they bought land in St. Mary's, and at that time they proposed to the church to buy land at that area. So we bought the land in the church bought. It's the same council which was in the photo here, which bought the land in Mount Root, and then St. Bishoy and Archangel Michael, started there, And Father Mina Namatullah at that time was serving in St. George, and then he moved to Mount Root,
yes.
Mount Root,
and he served there until he departed.
Yes,
that was
his
final church.
Yes.
And we had more priests that then started arriving.
Yes, more priests arriving after Father Musa Solomon, and then Father Samuel Wadia of St. Mary, And he returned back because I think his brother was killed in a car accident in there, and he went, and his father was an old priest there and without any support, so he went to support his father, but he came back to Australia after that. And then we came, a priest from, a migrant from Australia was anointed at that time, Father Marcos Tawfiq Khilla. He was Zahir Khilla at that time, as a migrant. He's the first one to be anointed from Australia, as a migrant to Australia, to be anointed as a priest, yes. Father Marcos Tawfiq Khilla, yes. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Farag. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you.